In a previous life, of course, you also dealt very clearly with the 2008 crisis. And now we talk about, for example, Russian collateral and the impact this could have on some of the Swiss banks. Have there been any margin calls on Russian clients?
Well, for us, we've been reducing our exposure to Russia, both on the collateral side and on the client side, tremendously already since January, because tensions were looming. We've seen the president with Crimea and the invasion there, and we feared that Russia might become an area where we'd better be cautious. And if you look at our own, on-site in Russia, we have only 70 employees there. We don't do any new business in Russia at all. All we're doing is winding down trades, seeing that the payments get processed. We get exemptions and licenses for doing that because we apply all sanctions globally as a Swiss bank in every constituency in which we operate, be it US sanctions, be it European or UK sanctions. The challenge has been from the start that those sanctions weren't perfectly aligned. So at the level of the IF, we created a task force to align them. But we apply all the sanctions that are processed, and we've been reducing our exposures quite a bit over the last 3-4 weeks. So UBS is in quite a good place as far as that's concerned.
So, Axel, can you give us a sense of how much Russian money UBS has? And in general, there's a lot of concern about the Swiss banking system as a whole, some of your competitors, and how much Russian money there is in that economy.
Well, we don't disclose, money by national citizenship. What we disclose is by regions. We have a regional setup. And as I said, Russia as a region in the bigger picture with 70 employees doesn't really move the needle. There are exemptions in these sanctions for Russian citizens that live in the European Union and that live also in Switzerland. And most of those will be recorded as money under management here in Switzerland or in the European Union. So I think it is, these are not sanctions clients. These are clients that continue to have a reporting obligation to the authorities, in particular if there's more than 100,000 assets under management per individual clients. But that is an area where we do not discriminate between citizens of the European Union and Russian citizens that live in the European Union, for example.
So where does the Russia crisis actually mean for the future of Russia desks, for example? Are you going to be taking any action beyond looking at individuals being sanctioned?
Well, look, I personally, and this is for my successors to decide, do not see any future of business onshore in Russia for many of the international banks, because even if we come to a ceasefire, Russia has put itself outside the international community, and this will have a pretty long-dated consequence. But having said that, if you're winding down a financial institution that is a licensed financial bank with regulatory obligations, that is a long winding process, and we're fully aware of the long-term consequences and the process that is needed to basically give back a license in an area where you operate. So that's a longer-term decision for many of the banks to be taken. At the short term, what is important is that you use your presence in the region and connectivity to some of the clients with special exemptions to reduce exposures of clients and wind down your own exposures. That's what's happening now. Some of the contracts are really long-dated derivative contracts, which are sanctioned on SWIFT, and they need to be wound down in bilateral agreements, replacing the contractual agreement, and they need to be okayed by the regulators. That's the process we're in.